Springfield's Talk 1041. Hey, everybody. Good Thursday. My name is Nick Reed. Streaming live, KSGF.com, the KSGF app. You can catch us Spotify, iTunes. You miss any of the show, you know the places you can find it. All of the places I just listed, in fact. Feel free to grab it at any of those locations, or maybe you want to share some of it. You hear something, you think, oh, I like that. That's pretty interesting. That's a pretty good point. I think others should hear it as well. Feel free to utilize those different platforms in the podcast on those platforms for the purposes of spreading that information. It's Thursday, which means we are going to have Christy Fulnecki. That will be in the 7 o'clock hour. And then we will also have our Author of the Week, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone, in the 8 o'clock hour. That's just a layout of the guests that we have tomorrow. Friday morning, Scramblers, be broadcasting live there. And then we have our happy hour. That is going to be at Retro Metro. Hang out, have some drinks if you want, have some food if you want. Between 4 and 6, come and go as you please. Also, while you're there, you can register to win a pair of tickets to either see Bob Dylan at the Juanita K performance, which is coming up. You can register for a chance to win a pair of tickets at KSGF.com. But we will also be drawing a winner at Retro Metro after happy hour, 6 o'clock. So come by, register for that. And at the same time, you can register to win tickets to the Thunder Ridge Willie Nelson concert. He's going to have a number of artists with him, and you can register for that. Oh, no, what happens if you register for both of them, and then you win one, and then you win the other? It'll be sort of like The Price is Right. You get to choose which one at that point. I think that's fair, instead of saying you win both, because we want to spread the winning around.
I like that.
Yeah, and so if just odds aren't, it's not going to happen, but, should it? It does.
You say that it will happen.
I know it could happen. Then now, what if it's a husband and a wife, and the husband wins one, the wife wins the other? That's cool. You're different people, so it's just, the names. We'll do it that way because we don't want to get too technical. Well, we're separated, so, it just becomes a hassle. So if you enter both, and then you win both, then you choose which one you want, and then we'll draw again for whichever one you did not win, or you chose not to win. That will be at Retro Metro, signing up for that, and the drawing at 6 o'clock for our happy hour. Yesterday, another day full of winning for girls, winning for women. Just such an incredible visual moment. All of these females, from young girls all the way up to adult females, that came into the White House, and you could just see what was true joy as President Trump signed this executive order protecting them and protecting women's sports, protecting them in the locker rooms and in restrooms from men who claim to be women and then want to compete against them and force girls to have to shower with them and so forth, which is something that I remember the days not that long ago whenever there were people like, me, who understand how sometimes human beings behave, and said, you guys, we're gonna end up in a situation where girls are gonna be forced to take showers with men. And people on the left, that's not true. That's not gonna happen. You're just trying to scare people. And we've gotten to the point where they defend it so much, the right of men to tell women that they have to shower with them and use restrooms with them, that it's taken the President of the United States, Donald Trump, whom, of course, we're told is anti-woman, signing an executive order to protect them from Democrats' efforts, which have been successful in many instances, to force girls into those situations. And it was also very nice. Did you watch any of it?
I saw the photos.
I swear, maybe I'm just reading too much into it. If you watch the video, at one point, Trump, and I don't even know how many females are behind him, but he's getting ready to sign it, and he's like, hey, you can kind of gather around. And I swear you can just see this sort of, these micro expressions. They're expressions that aren't real, noticeable, but your subconscious notices them. That he was, I don't want to say choked, but it made him not emotional, like to where, he's getting ready to cry, but the look on his face was one in which he felt it. He felt like these were his kids, these were his grandkids, and you could just see, I could anyhow, this look on his face where he was touched, that the situation itself, and just the ability to do this, and it was also nice to see, and I'm not being facetious when I say this, a room full of girls, many of which were between the ages of 8 and 12, that didn't have to pull away from him, that didn't sort of, make themselves smaller as he sniffed their hair. It was just nice to see the president of the United States surrounded by young girls in which something inappropriate wasn't done. And it's sad that we have to be grateful for that. You would think it would be a given, but after 4 years of, women just being treated like objects by Democrats and by the Biden administration, and playthings and sniff things of the president of the United States, it's just nice to see him treated with the level of respect that they are treated now with Trump as president. Well, what about when Trump said this so many years ago? Okay, I'm talking about now. And what really matters, what ultimately matters to women, and the difference that is going to be made going forward. So some of the details on that. Also, articles of impeachment filed and announced against President Trump by a Democrat in Congress. No, this is not a repeat from every other time that they have gone this route. And Pam Bondi, just straight out of the gate, like every other one of these. I'm telling you, the expectations combined with the pool of integrity and work ethic that Trump is picking these people, I can't help but continue to compare it to, well, where's Pete Buttigieg weeks into this? Oh, well, he took maternity leave. He's fake breastfeeding his baby for the next 5 months. And there's a lot of things going on right now, train crashes, and, well, now, don't be homophobic. He's got to stay at home and have his time with his baby. And I mean, it's like that compared to every one of these appointees that the moment they're nominated, the clock has started and they are hitting the ground running, all for in very meaningful ways that are fulfillments of what President Trump promised he would do if he got elected, something that, once again, as Americans, we're not that accustomed to, other than his first term. Somebody running for office, here's the list of things I'll do, and he actually does them. Like right up front, not, oh, well, I made that promise, I'll do it later, but right up front. Just all of it's very refreshing. Still taking it in. It still has that new president smell to it, and I want to enjoy it as long as possible. Latest news update.
And the first alert forecast from Color 10 Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today, isolated showers throughout the day and then mostly cloudy with a high near 47. As we move into the evening, we'll see partly cloudy skies with a low around 37. For your Friday, we'll have a 30% chance of showers before noon and then mostly cloudy with a high near 46. And for Saturday, partly sunny with a high near 65.
All right, so Attorney General Pam Bondi, just like every other one of these picks by Donald Trump, has hit the ground running. Among the first things that she did, sent out orders to combat the weaponization of the legal system. The Justice Department, these agencies that are law and order agencies have become known as the sword and shield of the Democrat Party, and they've been utilized as that way. And so one of Pam Bondi's main efforts here right out of the gate is to make sure that that doesn't happen anymore, at least under this watch. Now, the American people may at some point choose someone else to be president who decides to go back to the last 4 years in which, based off your political persuasion, that is going to determine how much punishment you receive for some sort of violation or crime that you may have committed. Again, I think it's important to understand when it comes to this weaponization of the justice system, it isn't simply about a system that goes after people for crimes they didn't commit. I think we need to understand that. What it is about is whether or not the system is unevenly utilized, particularly when it comes to the punitive aspect of things. As close to apples and apples as you can possibly get, the January 6th riots were not the first of its kind. It was 4 years prior, during the inauguration of Donald Trump. Riots in the street, police officers hospitalized, calls to prevent Trump from being sworn in, all of the things that we're told that were the single greatest attack on democracy in our country, and that is people who are supporters of Donald Trump trying to prevent this, the peaceful transition of power. That happened 4 years prior. Instead, however, of it being, the so-called prevention that they alleged, which, by the way, wasn't there. I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole here. But the goal of so many of those people protesting and what they were wanting Mike Pence to do is not overturn the election and give it to Trump, but there were a number of states in which there were clear conflicts regarding which votes should have been counted and should not have been counted, and the request was that Mike Pence would send those back to those specific state legislators in order for them to make a determination on how to move forward when there was an attorney general or a secretary of state, for example, that said we should count ballots that, according to the state legislature in this particular state, are illegal to count. That's what it was about. It wasn't about overturning the election. But that aside, 4 years prior, Hillary Clinton supporters, Democrat activists, took to the streets to try to stop Trump from being sworn in. This was their stated goal. Overturn police cars, Molotov cocktails, police officers hospitalized. Now, when we talk about the politicization of a justice system, it isn't simply about whether or not people on January 6th actually committed a crime when they and this and that. It is about the difference in treatment for people who were within the same, category, if you will, of offenses. The folks on January 6th, even those individuals that never attempted to harm anyone whatsoever, they're just kind of wandering through after the doors got open. The Justice Department went after these individuals for years, rounding them up, sending SWAT teams into their homes at times, for parading through the Capitol without a permit. It would be one thing if every person prior to January 6th who paraded through the Capitol without a permit or who attempted to disrupt the transition of power, if everyone had been treated the same regardless of whom they supported, that would be one thing, but that's not what happened. See, that's where the injustice is. That's what makes it political. The fact that you can take all of these people that participated in these activities and see the column of people that were Trump supporters and the way that they were treated for doing it versus the people who were Joe Biden supporters, Hillary Clinton supporters, supported Chuck Schumer, and Democrats when it came to Supreme Court situations and nominees and so forth. That's where the real problem is here. They try to distract from that by saying, so you think somebody who throws a fire hydrant at or a fire extinguisher at a police officer, that they should be rewarded for that? No, but they should not be treated disproportionately harsher than someone else who did it just because of who they support politically. That's not how our system is supposed to work. If you attack a police officer, throw a water bottle at a police officer as an anti-Semite or a Black Lives Matter protester, you should not get, 1 night in jail and a $50 fine, while somebody who does the same thing but inside the U.S. Capitol gets sentenced to 12 years in prison. No reasonable person can claim that is proper, that is moral, and that is right. And this is what Pam Bondi is looking to fix in this country. She plans to set up a weaponization working group which will work to punish those who administered politicized justice during the Biden administration. Fox News noted, quote, the working group's first reviews will include prosecutions against Trump led by former special counsel Jack Smith, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, and New York Attorney General Letitia James, who brought the civil fraud case against Trump and his family. And incidentally, this is another situation in which Trump was persecuted for things that other elected officials have done, and they may have gotten punished, but in much different capacities. For example, when it comes to the felony case, the bookkeeping, and the alleged payoff to Stormy Daniels, and having it listed as what they claimed was something other than what it was. Hillary Clinton did the exact same thing, except for it was paying for the fake Russian dossier, and it was listed as a legal expense. The difference is she was given a fine. Actually, her campaign was given a fine. It wasn't even her personally. It's like a, six-figure fine for having something listed improperly in terms of campaign expenditures. So this is another example in which Hillary Clinton, her campaign pays a little money, gets out of it. Donald Trump is a felon. That is not right. And I don't care what political persuasion you are. It isn't. Also, Pam Bondi, sanctuary cities. She has directed the DOJ to identify and evaluate all funding agreements with non-governmental organizations that provide support to illegal aliens. She has also ordered the department to investigate instances of jurisdictions that are impeding law enforcement and directing they be prosecuted when necessary. So another step in the right direction. More winning for actual equal justice under the law. This is another example of the dual justice system. These are really very similar in fashion, and it is the uneven application of the law. Whereas you and I, on any average, any given day, collectively as people, we are expected to obey the law. But you have some of these different areas of the country, and they're run by the blues, in which people who aren't in this country illegally are not expected to follow the laws that we are. They run around about, I shouldn't have to show my papers. Oh, what is this? World War, what are we in Germany? Hitler's Germany? I have to show my papers? I shouldn't have to show my papers. Oh, really? Because I do if I get pulled over. I don't get to not go through the process of getting a driver's license and then complain, well, it's too hard, I shouldn't have to do that, while other people do it. No. People who come into this country illegally should just be treated like the rest of us. If we violate a law, we should be held accountable. And we should not be rewarded for violating the law. So when you look at these first two big step forward, first day on the job, Pam Bondi, when it comes to the weaponization of the Justice Department and the identifying these, different, whether it's non-governmental organizations or different counties that refuse to enforce the law regarding people who are in the country illegally. It's all about equal application of justice and making sure that that is done. Springfield's Talk 1041. I'm Nick Reed. And you have a chance to win tickets to that performance. You can register for your chance to win at KSGF.com or stop by our happy hour Retro Metro tomorrow between 4 and 6. Get registered there, and we will draw at the end of happy hour at 6 o'clock. Also, you can register for Willie Nelson's upcoming performance with a number of other artists. That is going to be at Thunder Ridge. So an opportunity to get registered for both of those at happy hour between 4 and 6 o'clock. Retro Metro tomorrow.
Springfield's Talk 104.1, your first alert forecast from Color 10, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today we'll see isolated showers throughout the day and then mostly cloudy with a high near 47. As we move into the evening, we'll see partly cloudy skies with a low around 37. For your Friday, we'll have a 30% chance of showers before noon and then mostly cloudy with a high near 46. And for Saturday, partly sunny with a high near 65.
Bradford Light, tailored for the hardworking men and women who appreciate a reliable, easy drinking experience. But as that weather gets a little nicer, you start thinking about the tropics. Pineapple Life Coach, where you can transport yourself to a tropical paradise with pineapple coach. You know what I'm going to do this season? I've already decided this. Now, this may sound crazy, and I don't know why I was thinking about it this morning. I'm going to make a Pineapple Life Coach float. I just think that the creamy vanilla flavor of ice cream mixed with the Pineapple Life Coach, that's either going to be brilliant or it's going to be like, no, I don't think I'll do that again. I'll just have it straight. But it's just something I'm going to try. Now, if you haven't had either the Pineapple Life Coach or Bradford Light from Kansas Territory Brewing Company, you can pick it up because it is now available at Macadoodles and Price Cutters in the area. This past season or last year, the last Major League, Minor League Baseball season, of course, you could, as many of you did, get it at Hammons Field. But now, at home, you can have it as well, so you don't have to wait for the baseball season to roll around. Macadoodles, Price Cutters, and you can, of course, request wherever it is that you buy beer that they start carrying it as well, as it is brought to you by your friends at Show Me Beverage. And, of course, you can learn more about those beers by going to KansasTerritoryBrewingCo.com. Impeachment, yes, believe it or not. Within just a 24, 48-hour period, we have gone from Democrats once again calling for violence in the streets, encouraging people to go out there and fight, and one member of Congress going so far as to say, shut the city down, screaming, yelling, screeching into the microphone, believing somehow that's what average Americans want, and also then believing that average Americans want Donald Trump to be impeached. What is it? He's made history. He is the only president that has been, he has had higher approval rating going into his second term than he did his first, and they want to impeach the guy. Here is Democrat Congressman Al Green on the floor announcing his call for impeachment.
And still I rise, Mr. Speaker. And I rise today, Mr. Speaker, with a to whom it may concern message. To whom it may concern, ethnic cleansing in Gaza is not a joke, especially when it emanates from the President of the United States, the most powerful person in the world, when he has the ability to perfect what he says. Ethnic cleansing in Gaza is no joke, and the Prime Minister of Israel should be ashamed, knowing the history of his people, to stand there and allow such things to be said. Ethnic cleansing has been a crime against humanity. And I stand here today in the well to denounce what was said, to denounce what the president said, to denounce the complicity of the Prime Minister of Israel, and to remind people that Dr. King was right. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And injustice in Gaza is a threat to justice in the United States of America. I rise to announce that the movement to impeach the president has begun. I rise to announce that I will bring articles of impeachment against the president for dastardly deeds proposed and dastardly deeds done.
The source of his great anger, of course, was the prior days' acceptance of the Jewish leader of Israel, the only Jewish state in the world, the invitation to the White House, and the renewed relationship, once again allying with the Jewish people of Israel. And if there's anything that really ticks off the Democrats, it is being supportive of Jews. And you can hear it. You hear the anger there. The Jews are the bad guys. They're the devils. They're the ethnic cleansers. They aren't the victims, of course. I mean, you know what a hard time they gave Hitler? I mean, he was just dealing with the problem. I mean, they were the real problem there. And once again, I mean, that October 7th thing, gosh, Hamas just didn't want to do it. They just had no other choice. Poor Hamas, those poor terrorists. The Jews made them do it. And so this has resulted in just 2 weeks in office, already another effort by Democrats to impeach President Trump for these dastardly deeds of being pro-Jewish. Now, I have here. This is my view on this. While many are dismissing this as not serious, as, once again, here's some nutty Democrat. If I'm Mike Johnson, bring this to a vote. I'm serious about this. Democrats and Republicans have historically had a much recent history, anyhow, relatively recent history, a much different approach in dealing with what would be considered the fringe elements of their political parties. Now, Trump has changed this to a large degree, but Democrats have traditionally been much better at this. What they have done is they will find, like you have the entire Republican Party, and then there'll be one Republican that will just mention even. Let's use Rick Scott of Florida. This is a good example. Rick Scott of Florida, several years ago, in conversation about ways to get the budget under control or Social Security or something, mentioned that one of the things we may have to do in the future is look at altering the benchmarks when it comes to Social Security in the future. Not affecting people that get it now, but people who get into the system as people live longer and people work longer, maybe raising the age of Social Security. It wasn't anything that was in the works, and in fact, it was something that, in true tradition, Republican leadership, we're never going to do that. Nope, not going to do it. Democrats, however, took that and used it to paint all Republicans threatening your Social Security. 2025 is another example. 2025, this wish list by conservative think tank people, as you've got all sorts of different groups, left, right, middle, and they're always, here's what we would like. This is what we would like. If we ever have an audience with the president, or when we lobby Congress, we're gonna go to them, and this is the framework of what we believe is the direction of the country. And there were things in there, most of which Democrats had to lie about in order to make them sound worse than they were. But what did they do? They made it sound like this is something that Republicans and the Donald Trump campaign came up with. Whenever Democrats have one of theirs do something that is seen by the general public at large as being fringe, Republicans have traditionally just pointed to that individual as, that's just another kooky Democrat, instead of doing what Democrats have successfully done and utilizing that person in order to characterize the entire Democrat Party. I think, and again, Trump has altered that landscape to some degree. Trump understands it. He gets it. And so he's managed to, at times, utilize those same tactics successfully. But in that vein, what Republicans should do, what Mike Johnson should do is, okay, well, we're going to bring this up for a vote. And if this is what Democrats want to do, we're going to give them a fair shake, and we're going to allow them to make their case. And let them get up there. Some Republicans may think, well, they're just going to get up there and scream and yell, and it's going to be the traditional hysterics. Yeah, let them do it. Let America see who they are. Let America hear their arguments. While Americans are watching Donald Trump in breakneck speed fulfill promises that the Americans elected him to fulfill, let them see what Democrats are doing. Let them experience in real time the alternative. In fact, I would argue frankly, it's a disservice not to do that. I believe Mike Johnson, as Speaker of the House, has the obligation to make sure that the American people understand and know what it is that the Democrats are doing and trying to get done. Republican, and I know it seems counterintuitive, and well, we're the ones in charge. We shouldn't give them attention. Yeah, you should. When your idea is a winning idea and the opposition idea is just insanely and brazenly bad and out of touch with the average American, you need to let people know that that's the alternative. You need to let people know that that is the other path. So when time comes a choosing, because guess what? In less than 2 years, people are going to be voting over whether those people control Congress or the party of Trump continues to control Congress. And it would be kind of nice if Mike Johnson were able, as Speaker of the House, to, over the next couple of years, make sure America knows the difference between the two to the point that Republicans actually gain seats. Instead of worrying about losing control, the goal should be gain seats. We need to gain seats. And the way that you do that is to make sure that America not only hears what Al Green says, but sees every Democrat on the record when it comes up and it's their time to vote whether or not to impeach Donald Trump. Put them on the record. As Speaker of the House, it's obligatory for you to make sure Americans in every single one of the districts all across this country understand where the person who represents them stands, particularly Democrats, when it comes to one of their own party members looking to do something like this. That's my suggestion. Springfield's Talk 1041. I'm Nick Reed. Alrighty, let's see. Oh, I wanted to read a text from the Pyramid Roofing Company talking text line. Sent from the app. Well, crap. I lost the bet. I had February 11th before the next screaming of impeachment began. Yes. Well, I guess that as Trump has demonstrated to a profound degree, a work ethic of get started as fast as possible. If you're on time, you're 10 minutes late. Maybe Democrats are like, you know what, we're going to match that. So that call for impeachment, well, let's do it right now. I'm serious. I really wish that Mike Johnson, like, put up or shut up. Let's vote on it. Bring up the articles of impeachment, make your arguments, Democrats do it, and make them go on record with their vote. I suspect many of them would just not vote. They'd abstain, or they wouldn't show up. Let them. Let's see how serious they really are. Because here's the thing. At the same time that you're going to have a lot of Democrats that will back off and they'll vote against it, that they will, or they would abstain or not show up for the vote, in some form of protest or something. You may think, well, normal people in their district will think to themselves, well, I guess at least my Democrat's not crazy. But what will the extreme element of their party think? The MSNBC viewer, the people who spent all this time believing the nut jobs in the Democrat Party, that Trump was going to be thrown in prison, that he could never be president again, that he was going to be hauled off in handcuffs. They believe all this stuff. And a large part of the loss for the Democrats wasn't just the losing of a number of voters to Donald Trump. It was the detachment and the disenfranchisement of those Democrats that want all Republicans thrown in prison and Trump to be absolutely destroyed. And so having Democrats in areas of the country that would say, well, I can't vote to impeach Trump because, that's not going to help me, that will hurt them with that wing of the party. So it just really blocks them in to a poor political position. And if I were Mike Johnson, I would do that. I would allow this to come up, make sure it's a priority, and get this taken care of. Now, of course, on the other side of the aisle, the Lord knows the Republican Party, particularly leadership, is not filled with visionaries and individuals that do profound things. There are some Republicans that do, and one of them, well, it's our very own Congressman Burleson, making headlines. This one, Congressman introduces bill to recognize unborn children have a right to life from conception. Congressman Eric Burleson has introduced the Life at Conception Act to affirm the fundamental right to life for every human being, born and unborn. This landmark legislation declares that unborn children are persons under the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution, allowing their right to life to be legally recognized and protected. Burleson noting, quote, every life is a sacred gift from God, deserving of dignity and protection from the moment of conception. The Life at Conception Act uses Congress's constitutional authority to define personhood, fulfilling our moral and legal obligation to safeguard the lives of the unborn. The 14th Amendment states, no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privilege of immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. The Life at Conception Act ensures this promise applies to the unborn, recognizing them as persons with equal protection under the law. Burleson pointed out that the Supreme Court's landmark decision in Dobbs v. Jackson, Women's Health Organization, overturned Roe v. Wade but left unresolved the vital question of personhood. Quote, this act fills that gap by making it clear that unborn children are human beings entitled to protection under the Constitution. Now, I know a lot of people have this instinct that, well, I don't know, that just seems pretty radical. You know what else seemed radical? Declaring that slaves were persons in this country. We have fought this battle before. These lines have been drawn before. And the political parties fall on the same. I mean, history does so often repeat itself, does it not? Where once again, just like during the slave era, Democrats argued that slaves were not persons. They were property. And the argument was, keep your hands off my property, my choice. I can do with it what I want. You have no right to tell me as a government what I can and can't do with my own property because we have property rights. Republicans, on the other hand, argued they're not property, they're people. These are separate human beings. These are individual human beings. This is why the Republican Party was born, to fight this battle. And just like the arguments made and the line drawn when it came to the issue of slavery, it is the exact repeat when it comes to unborn children. The Democrat Party argues these are not people, these are a property. You cannot tell a woman what to do with her own property, or AKA body. And Republicans note, with science on their side, of course, well, most Republicans anyhow, that it's not property, it is a human being. And it's not your body, it is a separate body. Hence, that child has 2 hands, 10 fingers, a head, a heartbeat, all of the things that define a human being and defines a body, has its own. And simply because you declare it to not be human, much like they did when it came to black people, that does not make it so. And I think that it would be instructive whenever these debates are coming forth, that this is being debated, this argument is coming up, that be noted. In fact, I think that should be the theme. We have been here before, and the arguments are the same. So, here we go again. It's Groundhog Day. The question is, are we going to correct the sins of the past as we did when it came to ownership of black people? Or are we going to not? Now, the one potential real concern here is that the Republican leadership is not going to want to allow this to even see the light of day. Because they're afraid, well, I don't know. I mean, it may make us look bad and we'll be demonized. So it's right now, I believe the biggest obstacle to this is going to be the Republican establishment. We'll see how it plays out. Of course, we'll talk with Congressman Burleson. Actually, I'm scheduled to be off on Monday, so maybe we'll see if we can reschedule and have him on Tuesday or Wednesday to talk about this specifically. live tomorrow morning at Scramblers, the Friday Road Show, and then we are going to have happy hour at Retro Metro 4 to 6. While there, if you come by, you can register to win tickets to see Bob Dylan in concert at Juanita K, the Rough and Rowdy Way performance or tour, and that is going to be Friday, March 28th. You can register to win a pair of tickets for that at ksgf.com, or you can again come by. Happy hour tomorrow at Retro Metro. Register. We will draw at the end of the happy hour. So at 6 o'clock, there will be a winner. You don't have to wait. And at the same time, we'll have registration for the Willie Nelson tour, going to be at Thunder Ridge. That also will be something you can register online for tomorrow. Tomorrow at 5. Is that what time that goes live?
I believe so.
Yeah, but you can register, so you can do that at ksgf.com, or come by happy hour, register for that as well to win a pair of tickets for that performance. And that also we will be drawing at the end of happy hour. And when is that concert? Is that in the
I think it's
summer?
June 29th.
All right.
That's fine.
And there you go. And
Yeah, thank you.
if you register and win both, then it's going to be the Price is Right style, the final thing where you choose which one you want. You won't win both, but you can. Yeah, I thought that'd be kind of a fun way to do it, and that way people don't think it's rigged if somebody wins.
Willie Nelson. Maybe I should
91, Sarah said
Wow,
yesterday.
really?
91
Maybe I
years
should
old.
put my business card out down there for all the people that get tickets.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad. Just stand there by the
Don't drive.
But since you are,
Yeah, that's right.
there you go. If you book for, like, I've freed up. A lot of my clients recently got pardoned, by the way. So I've got some free time to handle other cases. And hey, who knows? Maybe you could get pardoned. I'm not saying you will, but
Yeah,
like I
that's
said, I
right.
do have clients that get
I mean,
pardoned.
I'm so busy.
Did you know, you may know this, you get an official certificate of pardoning?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
know
yeah,
it's because somebody I know who got pardoned sent me a picture of his. I was like, you get an actual certificate, like
you
when you
do.
graduate from 8th grade or something. It's like, do you frame that?
Yeah.
I mean, what?
Congratulations on your pardon.
Yeah.
There's rumors that they're going to go to the White House. So I told my clients, I said, hey, you got to bring me.
Yeah.
Especially the one I got back to Missouri because his wife, she's going to have a baby. So, but he said he would come on the show.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah. That's going to be a good
Yeah,
one.
no, that'd be great.
Yeah.
We'll just have to
No.
make that.
I have a lot of people that aggravate other attorneys and judges. So I had one in one county that's somewhere around here that he got so mad. It's kind of like, you have to go in, especially when you have like a really conflict of interest or a bias situation, and you have to just kind of stir it up a little bit. And so I had one attorney, and I thought he was going to hit me, so the bailiff had to go over and calm him down. He was
Really?
so mad at me.
Why did he get?
I don't know, because
I mean, you're such a pleasant
apparently
person.
he was objecting to my questioning of the witness, and
Was your-
I must have really gotten under his skin.
Were you asking questions like, "Oh, you think you can take me? You want to hit me?"
No, I mean,
Was this somebody who, like, maybe,
it's a family family court case.
maybe this is someone that at home, their wife just really emotionally abuses them all the time, and this was their outlet. They're like, "Oh, I'm gonna take it out on you."
Well, I know that's probably true, but I seriously, like, I had one attorney in St. Louis County who, and these are just words. I'm not being like disrespectful, but obviously I'm doing it intentionally. And she came up and got in my face, and we got in a screaming match, and she almost hit me. And then this guy
In
yesterday,
court?
yeah, and the guy yesterday, it was actually a juvenile case, so there's a bunch of attorneys, and he was mad at my questioning, and he was trying to object, and he got so mad at me that he started like yelling and screaming in court, and I thought he was gonna run towards me and do something, but the bailiff came over there, and I said, hey, I'm just asking questions.
Like, I'm just a peaceful.
You know?
My people are peaceful.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's because we have this culture of that you can't stand up and fight for, especially attorneys. You can't stand up and fight. Everybody has to get along. And hopefully Trump's changing that to stand up and fight for people for what's right. And
Well-
it's just not, especially in court, like it doesn't happen
And
at all.
you can fight it, and this is Trump's world and the world of a lot of people. You can fight it out, battle it out in a professional manner, but that doesn't
Yeah.
mean you have to be a crybaby and get all upset. And like in the
I know,
and
yeah.
I understand that if you are even in a business setting, you're having conflict and everything, and you do get emotionally engaged in that, but then at the end of the day, hey, this is a job, and
Yeah.
keep it confined to that. It's
Yeah.
it's
And
like somebody who's a boxer, that just because in the ring, obviously that doesn't mean that, if you're in line at Brahms and it's taking a while, that you clock the person in front of you because, well, that's who I am. You separate it.
actually, Joy, there's one that just came to mind when you said that, female attorney that I go against, and we battle it out in court, like we have 2 cases together. And then afterwards, I'm like, I really respect her because we're,
Right.
very similar. But I mean, this, especially when you're, and I would say that, I mean, 99% of the time, I believe my clients and they're telling the truth. So in the context of a juvenile case or family law, you have to really be, with accusations of abuse, you really have to believe your client to
Right.
advocate for him.
Right.
And this is a total BS case that I had. And I mean, I was advocating for the truth. And I mean, this guy just didn't want to hear it. And I thought, well, just go ahead and try. That'll be a first if you, knock
Right.
me out for
Mm-hmm.
freedom of speech.
You good.
So I actually said, so we were laughing after he left because we were waiting for this motion to be filed. And so there were a couple other attorneys in it. I said, believe it or not, I really get under people's skin. You should have seen what I did in city council. They all started laughing.
Did you tell him you ran for mayor?
No, I didn't. Shoot, I forgot. That was the highlight of my career.
Pyramid Roofing Company talking text line. Does Hallmark have a card section for people who have been pardoned? That would be a good, yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think about that. But you know what?
Somebody could start a line.
And so why is it an insurrection when Schumer and all those idiots stand up and have their press conference? We're going to fight.
Yeah, well, because, they're the good guys. That's the difference.
It's about a bunch of nut jobs.
Chrissy Fulnecki with us. We've got a lot, of course, to talk about this morning. Right now, latest news update.
The first alert forecast from Color 10 Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today we'll see isolated showers throughout the day and then mostly cloudy with a high near 47. As we move into the evening, we'll see partly cloudy skies with a low around 37. For your Friday, we'll have a 30% chance of showers before noon and then mostly cloudy with a high near 46. And for Saturday, partly sunny with a high near 65.
Christy Volnecki is with us.
Yes.
Mitch McConnell fell down the stairs again.
I know, that's right. Well, you know what? At least
does
we have somebody around to make fun of still.
Does he not? Is he afraid of elevators? Some people are afraid of elevators. Is this guy?
Like twice?
I think he fell down twice this time. I mean, for crying out loud. I mean, in all seriousness, why do they keep walking him down the stairs? Obviously, there must be elevators, right?
Her name, his wife. Why isn't she telling him that he needs to just retire?
I don't know.
Somebody be in that kind of physical condition,
I get
and probably mental, and he's holding up Republicans. I mean, to be in that kind of, I mean, that's just
these people get. I will tell you one thing about the existence of Mitch McConnell and his refusal to let go. It is an opportunity to see the difference between the average Republican voter and the average Democrat voter, because the average Republican voter has for a long time been like, why does Mitch McConnell just get him out of there? This is
I know.
But when Joe Biden was displaying clear cognitive Democrat, he's fine.
Yeah.
Leave him alone until they were told, no, here's your new candidate. But I don't know any Republican voters that have over the last couple of years been like, no, I think Mitch McConnell's fine. It's just, it's just false reporting that he's got problems.
Fun compare them to Trump. I mean, he's like a sloth.
How old is
I
McConnell?
believe he's 82.
So he's older, but I mean they're in the same.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
but they're
82.
9 days.
Willie Nelson's 91 and he's touring.
That's right.
He's not falling downstairs, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably all the marijuana.
Could be. He's preserved. Is it a preservative, marijuana, naturally?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong person about that.
I mean, 91 years old, and he's still touring. That's just crazy to me.
I know. That's great.
And, a lot of times you get these artists that get that old, and people, they'll see him on tour and like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe how old he looks. But Willie Nelson's looked 91 as long as I've been alive. So I don't.
To do and stand up and sing. I mean, when you're in the Senate, I mean, you kind of have to be with it. Or when you're the president, I mean, it's an important job. So that's totally different.
Did you see CBS released the full that whole thing? So many, for those that don't recall or haven't heard the latest, CBS got caught essentially editing the interview that was done with Kamala Harris before the election. And they really, I don't know if this was an internal, how this all came about. This is what I'd be interested in. The reason people knew this is because they were teasing it on CBS Morning. Like, oh, there's a 60 Minutes interview coming up tonight or tomorrow with Kamala Harris. Here's a clip of it. And so they showed a clip of it. And the clip, she sounded kind of like an idiot. Well, then when the actual interview aired, her answer was I mean, it was like, wait a minute, that's not the same answer that she gave in the clip. So people noticed something's going on here. That the Q&A is different, and people obviously it was edited. Okay, why was it edited? And people noticed that the edited response she gave to the question in the actual interview made her sound less like an idiot than the one that they originally aired. Now, what I'm curious about behind the scenes was who made that promo. Was it somebody not connected with the editing of the actual interview, or did they not realize how much of an idiot she sounded like? And then when people were talking about it, they're like, we got to edit this. And, whatever the reason.
I mean, I would say, like, when you're watching it, you can tell what an idiot she is.
But here's the thing. It's even worse, because at least in one portion of it, I'm going to play the audio here. So there was a question asked about Netanyahu. And the answer that they aired wasn't even an edited version of the answer she gave. It was the answer to something else. Totally. They just took an answer from some different question and put it behind the question. Yeah. Well, so here, so here I'm going to play for you. Here is the question that was asked in the interview, and then her answer, and then after that, I'm going to play what they aired during. So this is the what did not air.
It seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
All right, so that was the actual answer, which is her typical.
Yeah.
What did you just
No
say?
idea what you said.
This is what they aired.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
So it wasn't an edited version of what she said. It was something from somewhere else in the interview. They just completely 100%
Terrible.
edited to make her sound less like an idiot. Why anyone even trusts the media today? And I just don't know that anyone does.
As a candidate, wouldn't you be embarrassed if somebody had to do that for your interview?
I don't think she.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's right. Well, it'll be interesting to see what penalty they get, because obviously, I mean, they can pull their license. They'll fine them.
And what
probably.
And so here's
they
what
just pull their license and be done with it.
And here's what people it can maybe help understand a bit. CBS it's over what are called the public airwaves, and those you've got different types of broadcasting. So, for example, there are the public airwaves, and that is stuff that is considered owned by the taxpayer. It's free; it doesn't cost anything, so you can watch these programs because they're broadcast over antennas, right? Sort of like radio is. Now, that's different than programming or channels that you have to pay for, because that is all private. It's private networks, private private wiring and everything. And so a lot of the rules that apply to, because people are like, well, how come, I can't believe they're cussing on cable. How can they do that? Aren't there rules and that stuff isn't regulated. If it is a channel that you have to pay for to get, it's not regulated by the FCC in the same way. Now, that doesn't mean some people may get, let's say, DirecTV, and they get CBS over DirecTV, but it's still regulated because you can get it without having to pay for it.
Okay.
You just buy an antenna and then you get it, again, just like radio. And so because of that, there are certain responsibilities that you have. You have to show to the government that you're honest and that you're not pushing any sort of agendas, that you are doing the public a good service. In fact, because radio falls under the same capacity, I mean, Sarah's the one who has to deal with it all the time. File reports with the FCC, every quarter, listing all of the things that are done that go out over the air that would be considered providing the community at large a public service. So you have to proactively, in order to keep your license, demonstrate to the FCC, hey, we're in compliance with providing a service, at least, or using our airwaves in some capacity to do that. And, and for us, we do a lot of PSAs and, candidate interviews and stuff like that. And so that's where it is that when people are like, well, what right do they have, to tell CBS that they can't deceivingly edit things? Well, it's because they have a public license.
Yeah.
And that's the way it works, and that's the way it's always worked, whether people agree with it or not.
History of 60 Minutes, I mean, it was the serious news, program, and that you get the straight news without, any additions or edits. I mean, what a joke. It's so funny, like all these people are, and I hope it's like the dismantling of some of these stations and CNN and, what's his name? Started his own, the guy that got fired from CNN, Acosta. He started his own, like, I don't know if it's...
These people have an overinflated view of how much people want to hear them.
I know. Like, who would even watch you? I didn't even watch you when you were on CNN.
Chuck Todd's doing the same thing. Chuck Todd's like, he's going to start his own pot or whatever. It's like, who is going to watch that or pay attention to that?
Yeah, I mean, they're so full of themselves. I mean, really, if you're gonna be fired, like, go do something else. Like, you're free to explore whatever. But I mean, they just think that everyone is paying attention to what they're doing,
and they overestimate their value. And what happens is you get somebody like a Chuck Todd or a Jim or a Costa or any of these individuals, and what they say has an impact off. It does. It has an impact. But it's not because it's Jim Acosta. It's not because it's Chuck Todd. It's because it is Chuck Todd on an NBC morning show that is on the, it's on a Sunday morning show that still, it doesn't have as much relevance to the average American, but it does in the media overall.
Credibility because you're associated with whatever that.
Well, once you take, so people are listening to Chuck Todd, not because he's Chuck Todd, but because he is on Meet the Press. You take the Meet the Press part, in their minds, he thinks it's him. He thinks, well, I'll leave, and all of these people who watch me on Meet the Press, they're going to follow me. That's not how it works.
Few
Now,
people that
Tucker Carlson is an example
right.
of somebody who can.
Yeah.
There are a very, very, very few people that are the reason people tune in. Not because of this show, but because of the person. And Tucker Carlson is an example of that. And that's why he can go. But I think that these other individuals believe that it wasn't because you look at Tucker Carlson, that it was because he had a show and we have a show, and they think that that's going to replicate itself with them, but it's not going to.
You've seen it. It's so funny because they have, it looks like a bad Zoom or something. And I know Acosta, I saw some clips of it, and it was going in and out, and then his guests, like, you would see, like, the ceiling and everything. And I'm like, this is pathetic. I mean, you are not that interesting that anyone would sit there and watch you. And probably the only 3 people that were watching it were the ones that were making fun of it. It's probably Gutfeld, so he could put it on his show.
Well, and here's another reason that they won't succeed versus somebody like Tucker Carlson, because it's just there's nothing new about it. There's nothing intellectually intriguing about it. It's an echo chamber.
Yeah.
So you always know what's going to be. Yeah, I mean, what's his take going to be? Gee, I wonder. I can tell you before he says it. Somebody like Tucker Carlson, whether you agree with him or not, he has interviews with people that have ideas that are different, that it's really compelling. You like, oh, I never thought of it that way before. That is a different perspective.
Yeah.
The Chuck Todds and the Jim Acostas of the world, and Andrea Mitchell, I saw she's leaving. I don't know what she's going to do. I don't know if she's leaving. But there's nothing different about him. It's all the exact same. So there's nothing. There's no reason to.
You already know the American people know how hypocritical they are, because Acosta was talking about how he was like the watchdog for the American people, and speaking for the American people.
Okay.
About,
I'm
like, what? I mean, that's what all of the, especially this just craziness of. I still am like so shocked about this press conference that the senators had. I mean, and the congressman. It was just so. I mean, you're going to go and die on the hill for this. Like, this is probably not the time that you need to talk about your slush fund and you're a baby because you lost all your money to go after people.
Let them. They're exposing themselves. They really are. They're fully, completely exposing. They are not winning anyone over. All they're doing is what little support they have left. They're just slowly shaving it off.
They are at acting and yelling. I mean, Elizabeth Warren was like, you don't even know how to yell right.
Do they? I think they must take courses in how to yell annoyingly. It's just like
fight for Trump, and I think they're trying to like. I mean, somebody last night was saying Schumer was like the Special Olympics, like trying to.
The visual of him, and I think was that out somebody there with a cane, a walking stick.
Yes.
It's like Chuck Schumer is head of the dessert committee at the assisted living facility, and they took away tapioca pudding, and he's leading some sort of revolt. I mean, that's what it's like. We're going to get a traffic update here in moments more with Christy Fulnecki. I'm Nick Reed. Latest traffic update.
Springfield's Talk 1041, your first alert forecast from Color 10 Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see isolated showers throughout the day and then mostly cloudy with a high near 47. As we move into the evening, we'll see partly cloudy skies with a low around 37. For your Friday, we'll have a 30% chance of showers before noon and then mostly cloudy with a high near 46. And for Saturday, partly sunny skies with a high near 65.
Pyramid Roofing Company talk and text line. A couple of different messages. What
I
happened?
said great job.
Oh, good job. Yeah.
Not good job to you because you turned me
yes,
out
good
again.
job reading the weather.
Really? Yourself.
Really outdid yourself.
Hey, turn him off, Sarah.
Talking about giving away tickets at Happy Hour, we're going to have a couple registrations. Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan at different performances. You can come by Happy Hour Retro Metro, register to win tickets for that. We'll give them away at 6 o'clock. Text message, I can hardly wait for KSGF to have a drawing for the free tickets to an evening with Uncle Joe. Now, that is a reference to the fact that he has a talent agency now representing.
Well, that's for Weekend at Bernie's, too. They're going to read.
There already is a second one.
Well, the third.
Yeah, the third.
Okay.
They were the third.
I didn't know there was a second one.
To all of the USAID personnel whose jobs are going bye-bye, learn to code. That, of course, in reference to the Democrats when, was it Hillary? I forget which Democrat, when they were talking about eliminating all the energy jobs. And like, well, just learn to code. Get a job learning to code. Yeah, so just learn to code. Was it Biden? Yeah. Or just be a farmer. I was having this conversation with, it was Mark Long. I was talking to Mark Long the other day, or it was one day this week. I think it was him. We were talking about Michael Bloomberg that time when he's like, farming's easy. You just plant some seeds and all you do is just put some water on it. Okay. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. You farmers whining all the time.
Well, what struck me, I just think that whole thing, because we were just talking about the cane and how funny it was that Al Green has cane up in the middle of the rally or whatever awkward moment that was that they were doing, is that they never disputed what the
right. Yeah.
So it's like all these crazy transgender things in other countries, and they never are saying that those are wrong. That money was not spent on that crazy.
Or their
program.
defense, they dig the hole worse. I noticed that one of the highlights was the fact that Politico, which spent all that time covering. Well, they spent all that time covering for Joe Biden. Even some people within Politico talked about how they wanted to write some of these stories, and they were told no. Well, gee, they were getting millions of dollars from USAID. And then some of the defense from Democrats were like, well, they didn't get all of it. Some of it went to other media outlets. Like, this is not helping your case.
Reported yesterday that no one was paid at Politico yesterday. They didn't have any money for payroll. So they were totally bankrolled by USAID.
But their part of their defense was not all of it. Some of it went to other media outlets. That's not a good defense. So you're secretly using tax dollars to pay media outlets who write stories about you.
Just look at everything that Trump has signed, everything he's done. I mean, yesterday was one of my favorite days when he had all the girls around him.
Yeah, well, we've got audio. We'll play that coming up.
But that was one of my favorite moments, and to think that he's done all of this, and this is the one thing that you picked to have a stupid rally about.
Well, what are they going to rally against, girls? I mean, it's like what they don't have anything. This is what they've done to themselves, and like you noted that they don't even deny these payments are happening, and all of this money, these tax. I was thinking this year, I think it's April 19th or 21st is supposed to be the tax-free day, and that is on average the day that so from January 1st until that April 19th or 21st date, every dollar that you make during that period of time goes to taxes over the year. So you're essentially working for almost 1/3 of the year for the government.
Wow.
And this is the crap that they use. And then they act indignant that we're upset. It's almost indentured slavery.
It's
how many months we work, and then how dare they? And Elon Musk working under the cover of night. Like, what are you talking about? He's the one who's exposing all of this.
It's 20 people working in an agency, and they're all in college. And they're the ones that are finding this. So much for our media, investigative journalists. I mean, they haven't done anything. And then you have, like, hey, you roll up there with some college students in the government and you find out they're spending all the taxpayer money and all the Democratic projects and to go after Trump.
Hillary Clinton was talking about how you shouldn't trust these people. Some of these people who are going through this, they aren't even old enough to rent a car. And it's like, first off, aren't you the party that has tried to lower the age to vote? Aren't you the party that told us that we should get all of our climate change information from Greta Thunberg, who was 14 years old at the time? I mean, now all of a sudden, when it's actual meaningful work being done, and you have these brilliant college students that are looking at numbers and going, this doesn't add up, this doesn't make sense. Now we're supposed to ignore it and trust the corrupt politicians.
Yeah, and at the beginning of the month, I remember I was talking and I said, "Oh, I'm so excited, for them to release the JFK, Martin Luther King," and but then, I thought, oh, also, we're going to find out all this waste and abuse. I think people are so shocked that the amounts and just the vast
Here's what I'm hoping happens.
number of projects that has been spent on.
You remember, some people listening will, the savings and loan scandal. This was, if I remember correctly, I'm just going to give sort of a rough overview, when it was discovered that there was sort of a bank within Congress and members of Congress could go borrow money, get a quote loan, and a personal loan, but they never had to pay it back. So it basically just became this way to funnel taxpayer dollars to these members of Congress, and it got discovered, and it was this huge scandal, and the public was outraged. Well, this to me is 100,000 times worse. More than 100,000 times worse than that. And I'm hoping that the Americans even Democrats, it just kills me that Democrat voters will defend this level of corruption. And the thing of it is, it's not like, this is part of what's funny to me. You know that some establishment Republican people benefit from these relationships of helping make sure money gets to these certain people.
Yeah.
But because Democrats are turning it into something they want to defend, just because Elon Musk is the one who's head of it and they're trying to label him as a Nazi and everything. And so as usual, we have to take the opposite position. So they're owning the corruption. When this is, there's,
shocking.
There's a lot of bipartisanship in this, but they're like, nope, you know what? We want to be associated with this corruption. Okay, knock yourselves out. Quick traffic update, more with Christy Fulnecki. I'm Nick Reed. Pyramid Roofing Company talk a text line. Thanks for the image of Schumer at the old man's home. I worked in a nursing home years ago. And It brought to mind a resident outside the kitchen door wanting his prune juice before breakfast. Michelle and Barack Obama's largest donor dropping them amid divorce rumors. Oh, yeah, that's right. Their largest donor dropping them amid rumors about their marriage. Construction of the Obama Presidential Center once again stalling after a subcontractor filed a $40 million racial discrimination lawsuit, and Obama's mega donors are not jumping in to help. Michelle Obama totally over DC life amid rumors about her marriage to Barack Obama. Page 6 reported last month. The tabloids have been buzzing for the last couple of months after Michelle skipped, all these different events. Refused to go with very, very flimsy, like, oh, I'm on vacation. I can't go to Jimmy Carter's. And I don't think she even gave an explanation.
No class.
No.
Yeah.
But here's what's great. And so things are starting to get nasty. According to the Daily Beast, now the Daily Beast, that's a Democrat platform. Yeah. This isn't some right wing, it's left wing. Fleeing donors are saying Barack Obama is arrogant and selfish. Quote, we're told there's a certain schadenfreude in some circles as the Obamas weren't seen to be playing the game as they climbed the slippery pole to the White House. He's arrogant, said one Democrat donor who ended up giving substantially less than they could. He didn't help others when they were trying to fundraise, and so they're not going to look out for the Obamas now. There's no quid pro quo because it's a one-way street with Barack, another Democrat donor told the Daily Beast. So I think it's intriguing. Some that you've got, for whatever reason, see, this does start to seem like divorce stuff. Like all of a sudden you have these sources that are trashing him. Well, he's the problem. He's
inside your own party. I mean, she does not have any class to skip that. I don't care what you think about someone or your political posturing. I mean, have some respect for the United States and all of the American people that just voted for this guy and then you don't show up.
But she's so inspirational.
Oh, she must have been so mad when Obama was talking to Trump. I mean, she must have been furious.
And here's my thought also. If they really did get divorced, there has to be some real hatred there because look at the Clintons.
Just gonna say that,
right? They didn't get divorced.
They've stuck through.
Well, sure, but
thick and thin.
When you live the lifestyles that they do, you don't even have to bother getting divorced. Why even deal with the hassle of dividing up the money and the court and all of that? Why would you do that at that point in your life when you have that much money? You can live totally separate lives. Because that's what the Clintons do.
She put a lid on anything, or tried to at least.
Right.
On anything that came out about fighting between those two.
So to me, if there is an actual attempt or they decide to get divorced, there's got to be one or both of them really, really hate each other. To go through that unnecessarily.
Is this why he's gonna come out and say this is Michael?
Yeah. Maybe she's been detransing. Maybe she's going back to her.
Something circulating on the internet. I asked my kids, so that picture I sent to you guys of him and Michael, and I was like, is this true? I don't know, because some people say this was just released by the
Gutfeld calls her Michael all the time, Big Mike. He'll call her Big Mike. Yeah, I know. When you sent that text, my wife, she was like, is Christy being serious? I was like, I don't know.
I look at this stuff and I'm like, I can't tell. It says FBI just released it.
FBI just released it. That should have been a tip off.
I was just like, Mom, that's not real. I'm like, I don't know. It looks real.
People are going to be like, well, I guess now we know why her arms were always so muscular. All that time we were going on about she just has such nice arms. Little did we know she was shaving them.
He has called her Michael on accident. Obama has.
Did he?
Yes.
Are you sure that's not like...
I have to... That's another thing. I need to check that source because I actually Googled that after Morgan said that. I was like, is that a true thing? And it talked about Obama calling her Michael.
Oh, boy.
No, don't. I should probably cite my sources. I don't know.
Or figure them out, even. Traffic update more with Christy Fulnecki coming up. Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed. Wilder RV, all of your RV needs. Maybe you don't have an RV. Now, of course, as spring is approaching, I cannot recommend enough making sure it is ready for the new camping season, the new traveling season. Do that now. Book it now with a Wilder RV in Clinton, Missouri, instead of waiting. What happens so often is you got that, that 3-day weekend that's unofficially kicking off summer, and, we're going to get out. It's going to be awesome. Let's go ahead and make an appointment. But you can't be seen for a couple of weeks because everyone waits until that moment. So do it now. Or maybe this is the season that you decide, you know what, this is going to be a meaningful way to spend time with the family, to get out in nature, to sort of decompress and have that mental health weekend or getaway, whether it's just, Table Rock Lake or Truman Lake or somewhere, local, or you want to drive cross country. Wilder RV, your go-to place. They have a great website. You can get a family accommodating brand new RV for less than the cost of a nice hotel stay for one night. And that is a monthly payment deal that is, I think, for most people, much more affordable than they ever imagined. WilderRV.com, Wilder RV in Clinton, Missouri. Yesterday, just such a wonderful moment. Not just, it's sad that we have to have this moment historically because we were in this point where we recognize men are men, women are women,
Right, yeah.
protect women's sport. There's a whole reason for the whole Title IX thing is so that women could safely be able to compete against one another, and then they use it against women. Biden trying to say that, well, it also applies to men who want to pretend to be women. And, of course, what Trump does, sign the executive order, that essentially what it does is any school that allows men to compete against women or use their locker rooms will lose federal funding under Title IX. So that's what this is doing. Yeah, a lot of times it gets characterized as banning it. I guess it still will allow it, but they lose their funding.
Yeah.
Federal funding if they go forward with it. Money talks. We'll see how much their convictions about their dedication to protecting transgenders is in their minds when it comes to, but is it really worth it to you? Because I suspect that it may not.
I mean, it was so iconic. I mean, this whole having all of these young girls around him.
Here's part of what Trump said.
Oh, good. Okay.
Not allow men to beat up, injure, and cheat our women and our girls. From now on, women's sports will be only for women.
You would think that this is from 1940 or that we have to do this, but because, again, just what the Democrat Party has done in terms of trying to set women back so far, this is actually unfortunately necessary. But just the whole scene, I watched a video someone had filmed in there as all of these girls and women were walking in, and just the looks on their faces, it really was joy and excitement. And as he signed it, and he at one point he said, "If you guys want to come up and crowd around, that's fine. Watch me." And he joked with the Secret Service, "Do these people look like they're going to be trouble?" With all these little girls, and just the looks on their faces and the excitement. And it was just, none of them had to worry about being sniffed. None of them were cringing or pulling away uncomfortably, and none of them were being told that, you're not, that you're not really a woman. A man is just as much of a woman as you are. It was a great thing that happened.
Democratic commentators actually said that was a good thing.
I think they're going to
in defense of women.
Yeah.
I mean, and it just shows you how radical our country became, that we had to do something that's such, it would be just common sense,
It actually just showed how radical the Democrat Party has become, because this is a large part of the reason a lot, especially minorities, left the Democrats and voted for Donald Trump, was because of this particular issue and the insanity of it, and then women being the victims of it. It's one thing to be nutty and take these insane positions, but when women are the victims of it, then you're dealing with a whole nother situation.
Bigger than just the sports thing. It was really a symbolism of protecting girls and protecting women. And I thought it was great. That first picture, like you said, when he had you could tell he's a great, you could tell a lot about people, especially when they're in the spotlight, because they were standing, behind him. And like you said, they came around him. He was talking to him and showing him the pin, the little girls. And it was so touching. I thought, what a great person.
Yeah.
And then I just thought, my next thought was, justice is being done. How satisfying. I know when I win a case for someone, and justice is done, how happy I am. I can't imagine how much he's enjoying his job, that he gets to correct so many wrongs that are going on, and especially this. I mean, I have 5 girls, and I have a collegiate. My daughter plays college tennis, and then my other daughter plays club tennis at the academy. So we're a big sports family, and so this is very, very important.
Well, and a huge also for Riley Gaines, who has
I know, really.
been
I mean,
thrown
kudos
into
to
it.
her.
And there are other female athletes as well. She's the one that gets a lot of the recognition because she was the the first one that was fighting back against this as a woman. But there are others as well. Now the president of the NCAA has noted that the NCAA organization, made up of 530,000 student athletes, we strongly believe that clear, consistent, uniform eligibility standards would best serve today's student athletes instead of a patchwork of conflicting state laws and court decisions. To that end, President Trump's order provides a clear national standard. They did go on to also say that the Board of Governors is reviewing the executive order and will take necessary steps to align NCAA policy in the coming days, subject to further guidance from the administration. So it seems like they're going to comply, though I did find it humorous that they said they're going to wait to get further guidance from the administration. What guidance do you need?
That's pretty
Boys
clear.
cannot be
I
in
was
lines
waiting
with
to
girls.
see what you said.
This is pretty straightforward. I mean, there's not a lot of confusion here, and we've done it this way.
Yeah, so interesting how strict the NCAA is on everything. I know this because my daughter has to fill out all the information every year about who's paying your car insurance, where did you get your car, where did you do all this, so there's not any outside influence to get you to go to a school to play.
Yeah, right.
And so like all this conflict of interest, so you go through all this stuff and you're like, oh well, okay, we're gonna wait and just see if anything else happens on this. No, you need to do this. You need to take action right now.
And finally, I want to play, because it's Sarah's favorite audio of the week. This is Donald Trump being asked about Joe Biden getting a talent agent.
Talent agent? I think he's got bigger problems. I think he's got much bigger problems. But I wish him well. We inherited a mess. This place is a mess.
Like, you got to be kidding me. Sarah's favorite audio this week.
Got me.
Chrissy Full,
That's
as always,
classic.
thank
Yeah.
you. Oh, and happy birthday. I know
Thank
you had a
you.
birthday
Thank you.
past
Thank
week.
you.
Happy birthday to you. We've got
that's
Author of the
great.
Week coming up. And don't forget, Friday, Retro Metro 4 to 6 will be there. Christy may be
Yeah.
there. And so that will be tomorrow. We got Author of the Week, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone, coming up in a few moments. Tomorrow, Friday, we will kick the day off live at Scramblers Friday Road Show. Then we're going to have the first happy hour of the year at Retro Metro. Anytime between 4 and 6, stop by while you're there. You can register to win a pair of tickets to see Bob Dylan at Juanita K. There is also this spring-summer, the Willie Nelson tour he's going to be doing with a number of artists at Thunder Ridge. We will also get you registered for tickets to that as well. And that is going to be a quick, fast, short registration and win. Again, between 4 and 6, a Retro Metro at 6 o'clock will draw winners for those. And you can also, right now at KSGF.com, sign up for the Bob Dylan at Juanita K tickets. And then Friday, I believe at 5 p.m., you can register at KSGF.com to win the tickets to the Willie Nelson tour. But if you want to do a quick show up, register live to win, and potentially win at 6 o'clock for either of those, you can do that with us. Retro Metro Happy Hour. All right? Another winning for Americans in the United States. First, though, I want a great homeloan.com. If you want to win when it comes to your home loan, you want a great home loan and a great experience with great people, then you want to go that route. I've already gone through my bank, and I've already got pre-approved, or that's who I always go through. I've done it before, so that's how I'm going to go again. Second opinions never hurt. Never hurt. It's just more information. It's a different perspective. It's different people, and sometimes you'll find out, hey, it's the same thing that I'm getting the route that I'm going to go now. And so then you have that satisfaction of knowing that you looked around. Or maybe you'll find out you can actually get a better deal or a better level of service. So whether it is a home loan, refinancing, or even reverse mortgage, you just want to find out how exactly does that work. I want a great homeloan.com, because you do. The Department of State announced yesterday that the U.S. government and its vessels will now be allowed to travel through the Panama Canal without taxpayers having to face charge fees. In a post on X, the Department of State highlighted how since U.S. government ships would no longer face fees, it's going to save taxpayers millions and millions of dollars a year. Writing, U.S. government vessels can now transit the Panama Canal without charge fees, saving U.S. government millions of dollars a year. Again, see, listen, headed in right direction, 100%. But this isn't about saving the government millions. It's about saving you and me. You and me. The announcement from the Department of State comes as Trump has remained adamant about the U.S. retaking control of the canal in December. Trump, of course, threatened to take the Panama Canal, accusing Panama of ripping off the U.S. and charging U.S. ships exorbitant transit fees, also accusing Panama of allowing China to have control over the Panama Canal. And what has happened just in the last week, subsequent to a visit from Secretary of State Marco Rubio, is the agreement by Panama to no longer have the agreement with China regarding the Panama Canal, and now not charging taxpayers transit fees in order for these vessels to traverse through. Winning, 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 and then what's that over there? It's winning. Weather in a moment. Right now, latest news.
And the first alert forecast from Color 10 Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair of the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll see isolated showers throughout the day and then mostly cloudy with a high near 47. As we move into the evening, we'll see cloudy skies with a low around 37. For your Friday, we'll have a 30% chance of showers before noon and then mostly cloudy with a high near 46. And for Saturday, partly sunny with a high near 65.
Talk 1041. I'm Nick Reed, and it's Thursday, which means it is Author of the Week, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone. And, sometimes we talk about the ability to actually have authors in studio, but sometimes they're very far away. In fact, Germany this morning is where our author is, Rainer Zeidelman, a German historian, sociologist, and multiple best-selling author whose books include In Defense of Capitalism and Hitler's National Socialism. He's published 27 books, and they've been translated into 30 languages around the world. And he joins us this morning to talk about his latest book, The Origins of Poverty and Wealth, My World Tour, and Insights from the Global Libertarian Movement. Rainer Zeidelman, thank you so much for being with us this morning. And the approach to the book I'd like for you to talk a bit about isn't simply what some might consider to be academic. You traveled all over the world, and you had conversations with everyone from economists to just average, everyday people. How was it that you decided that's the approach you wanted to take in writing this book?
No, of course, there's a lot of theory about what is better, capitalism or socialism or economic theory, but I want to make it, more connected to everyday life, to the life of people in different countries. And I want to see in different countries what works better, what economic system, because like Warren Buffett told us one time, you don't have to make every mistake yourself. It's better and cheaper to learn from others. And so I decided to travel in 20 months to 30 countries and speak with, as you mentioned, average people, but also with people from think tanks, economists, entrepreneurs, politicians, to find out what makes countries poor and what makes countries richer.
I'm relatively simple in my approach to evaluating what many people see as complex ideas and theories. And when it comes to economies, even in what are seen as free market systems, oftentimes there will be variations of approaches. And you get all of, like you said, all of these theories. To me, the approach that seems to be the most simple, yet what seems to work is, well, what works best? What results in the best system for the average everyday person, wherever it is they are? Yet it seems as if many people don't have any interest in the actual outcome. Instead, they just like to talk about how they think it should work. And when you point out that form doesn't work, they will oftentimes say, well, that's because the right people weren't in charge. Do you find that, well, talk about that if you would.
Yes, absolutely. You can talk from morning to night about theories with academics at university, but in the end, it counts what works and what not. I will give you two examples. I was in Nepal. This is one of the poorest countries in the world. People are so poor, and I learned that everything is forbidden. I'll give you one example. If you make a profit that is higher than 20% more than the production costs, it's forbidden. You will be punished, or you have to bribe maybe the politicians for this. And they have long lists about restrictions, who can not invest there. This is Nepal. And then in contrast, another Asian country, Vietnam. Vietnam, they call themselves socialists, but in reality, they opened the economy for investors, and they love Americans. In spite of the war, they love Americans, and they love capitalism, and they love entrepreneurship. And the result is that while people in Nepal are still very, very poor, in Vietnam, poverty decreased from 80% in the 90s, it was the poorest country in the world in the 90s, to 3% today. So you see, entrepreneurship and economic freedom works. If you compare only these two countries, and I've been in 30 countries.
We're talking with our author of the week, Rainer Zeidelman, German historian. His book is The Origins of Poverty and Wealth, My World Tour and Insights from the Global Libertarian Movement. I suspect that before you embarked on this tour and spoke with all of these different people from all over the world, that you already had an idea to some degree of what you would hear and what you would find. Was there anything that did surprise you as you traveled about? Anything that you learned that you thought, well, I hadn't thought of that, or that's something I had not yet discovered?
Yes, of course. There were some surprise. For example, Poland, what is the neighbor of Germany? I knew that they had economic success, but not how large it is. In some cases, it's even better now than in my country, Germany, that is declining. And in Poland, you see so much progress. And it's really amazing what you see there. And people in Poland also, they love capitalism. I commissioned a poll before I went to all these countries to see what people think about capitalism. And the most pro-capitalism attitude from all these 30 countries was in Poland. And, maybe I should add something. I'm an historian and sociologist. I have 2 PhDs, one PhD in history and one PhD in sociology. And so I combined both. And before I traveled to these countries, I read and researched a lot about the history, because I think you can't understand a country if you don't know the history. And this was very interesting for me, for countries I didn't know so much before. For example, like Mongolia or Georgia or Romania, ex-communist countries. And you learned, I learned how terrible it was for people, and how big was the impact of free market reforms in this country. And I think this book it's much, not everyone likes theory. A lot of books about the economy are very abstract. And I tried to read a book that you can also enjoy a little bit. It's a little bit more entertaining, because I take my readers at the hand and then travel with me throughout the world and see what happens there. And I think it's especially important for Americans. I love America. I was in no other countries so often as in the United States. I will be back, for example, in June. I will be back in New York and in Palm Springs. But I know that a lot of people in the United States, to be honest, don't know so much about other countries, the world around them. And I think this is a great opportunity for Americans to learn more about the world, and then and I have also some chapters about how I see the United States, what's wrong there and what's good there. And a lot of people in Europe, they think, the United States, this is pure bad capitalism, and there's 0 welfare state. That is wrong. I think America needs more capitalism, and I hope now, with what Donald Trump does, and especially what Elon Musk will do now, that we get some, less regulation, hopefully, lesser taxes, and more capitalism, because this is what is also needed in the United States.
And it's one of the reasons.
And let me add one thing. What is very important, I heard that the Trump administration stopped U.S. aid now. And I think this is a great decision, because development aid helps nothing, 0. It doesn't help people. It helps only corrupt politicians in other countries. It helps bureaucracy. The way to more prosperity in these countries is that they have in their country free market reforms. This is what I showed. Development aid, it's a big waste of money. It's bad for the taxpayers in the United States, but it's also bad for the people in these poor countries, because it doesn't help the poor people. It helps only the corrupt elite in this country. And so I think it was a very good decision to stop all this nonsense. This doesn't mean, of course, please don't get me wrong, if there's, for example, natural disaster, so of course we should help. And we should help a lot. Even we can spend more money to help if it is needed. But this is not what is meant by development aid. Development aid means that you give money in the hope that the other countries will then become economically prosperous. And this didn't work. It's the same, sometimes some American politicians thought you can export democracy. For example, bring democracy to Afghanistan or bring democracy to Iraq. This didn't work. And the same is with the economy. You can't export your system to other countries. And this is all what my book is about and what you can read in my book.
Final question for Rainer Zeidelman, the author of Origins of Poverty and Wealth, My World Tour and Insights from the Global Libertarian Movement. I have watched with a certain degree of excitement, as I know other people have, the results of the changes made in Argentina with the election of Javier Milei. And I'm curious about your thoughts as he came in as somebody that, relatively speaking, certainly much more libertarian is, and made drastic changes that have resulted in real changes there in Argentina. What are your thoughts about his election in Argentina and the things that have occurred so far?
I appreciate this question very much, and you will find 3 chapters about Argentina, because I've been in Argentina 22, 23, 24, and I saw the Milei movement from their origins. I spoke with the people, and I understood that a lesson that you can learn. Before Milei was successful, there was a shift, a change in the mindset of people in Argentina. Before, everyone believed in the state. They looked for everyone first. And then I saw, when I was there, people started to understand that the government is the problem and not the solution. This is first what changed. And then Milei, of course, he's a genius in marketing, and he's a professor for economy, but on the other hand, he's like a rock star. And I think he will be successful. The inflation, what was 25%, not in the year, every month, but before he came to power, 25% a month. Now it's 2%. He reduced it. Of course, you can't change things that went wrong in 1 year or overnight, because what happened there, Argentina 100 years ago was one of the richest countries in the world, as rich as the United States at this time. And then they had a decline, about decades, a decline. And of course, if you make then such radical reforms, what you call shock therapy, in the beginning, some things become worse. And I was in Argentina, I had a lot of lectures there, and I asked the people, be patient. Don't expect that Milei can change things overnight. So I think it will depend everything whether people will be patient. But now the latest polls show there's 55% support for Milei. So I'm very optimistic. Let's pray that he will keep healthy and alive. And then I think Argentina can be a role model also for other countries. I think Elon Musk is also a little bit inspired by things that Milei did. And maybe Argentina can inspire also a little bit for the things that have to be done now in the United States.
Agreed. Our author of the week, Rainer Zeidelman. Again, the book, The Origins of Poverty and Wealth, My World Tour and Insights from the Global Libertarian Movement. Author of the week, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone for Springfield's Talk 1041. I'm Nick Reed. Streaming live, KSGF.com. If you missed any of the show, Spotify, iTunes, the KSGF app. We are doing a thing with Godfather's Pizza, one of our favorite partners. Great folks over there, fantastic pizza. And this is a pizza party at school. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, yes, here we go. Your child can win a pizza party for his classroom. Isn't it wonderful? Isn't that fun? For everyone, usually except the teacher. So this is a teacher's lounge pizza party. Go to KSGF.com. If you're a teacher, you work at a school, or you know a teacher, you can sign them up for their school to win a pizza party. And if you know that school or that teacher or that administrator, whatever wins, then instead of that classroom filled with screaming kids and messy pizza all over the place for the teacher to clean up while they're at recess, it will be a pizza party in the teacher's lounge with Godfather's Pizza. You can get signed up at KSGF.com.
Springfield's Talk 1041, your first alert forecast from Color 10, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today we'll see isolated showers throughout the day and then mostly cloudy with a high near 47. As we move into the evening, we'll see cloudy skies with a low around 37. For your Friday, we'll have a 30% chance of showers before noon and then mostly cloudy with a high near 46. And for Saturday, partly sunny with a high near 65.
We always love to inject a little bit of culture into all of you heathens' lives here on the station and on the show. And so that's why we have partnered up with the Springfield Symphony. And generally, before there is a totally awesome performance, Caitlin joins us. But we are very excited to have Jennifer with us today. How's it going?
Good. Yeah, I'm glad I get to be here today.
Right?
I hate that Caitlin's not feeling good. But
I know, boo. Sorry about that,
I
but
know.
you're fun. You're awesome.
Thanks. I try.
Yeah, you do a really good job.
Thanks.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. And you've been in here before. Weren't you in here with her at one? Yeah,
when
I
we were
think
training, I think.
when she first was taking on that role.
Yeah, when she first had to do one, and it was like the ballet one, I think.
May have been.
And I was like, thank goodness she knows ballet.
Yeah,
Because
she's a ballerina.
The ballet one. So yeah, she did a great job. She's amazing. So we're super blessed to have her.
Awesome. Performance coming up. It is And the Angels Sing. Is this correct?
The Angels Sing. Yeah, it is Mahler's Second Symphony, The Resurrection. So it's a big one. It's got the choirs from Missouri State,
Nice.
Drury, and Evangel. So, and it's so big, there won't even be an intermission. There'll be a 10-minute pause between the first and second movement. So
how's that different than an intermission?
This piece, the first movement is very somber. It's kind of like a funeral. So it's kind of, you know how you take a moment of silence.
Okay.
So that's kind of the how that works
So are people
out.
not supposed to get up during that 10 minutes? They're supposed to just sort of
To stretch if
Got
they
it,
want,
okay.
but we're just not encouraging them to go.
So it's sort of part of the pause is part of the performance as opposed to a commercial break, if you will.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I know
Okay,
there's a little bit of
interesting.
set change and stuff
Okay,
like that
all
that will
right,
be
very
happening. But
interesting.
otherwise, it's just a pause. So
All right.
we just ask that people.
I'm going to go and I'm going to yell, sit down when people start getting ahead.
So
You uncultured fools.
I know.
Don't you know the difference between a pause and an intermission?
Intermission. Yeah, and we've tried to, we're going to encourage everybody to get their little, snacks before
yeah,
the concert.
ahead of time.
Yeah. But it'll be good.
Excellent. How many more performances this season are there?
We have March, April, and May. So we've got 3 left after this one. And then we'll probably be introducing our new season, which was just approved by the board last week. It's going to be really fun. I'm so excited. Caitlin's super excited about the thing. Oh, yeah. She's like all in on the graphic designing and like how she wants to market it. She's just like, it'll be really, really good.
What do you do over there for people listening? Are you used to Caitlin being here?
Yeah, I'm the executive director, so I manage the staff.
Big boss lady.
I don't know,
I'd throw it around.
I throw it around. I like to tell people.
Do you get your own parking space?
No, I wish we did at the Creamery. We're fighting for spots.
You
at the
need
Creamery.
that. You need that. You need your own parking space, even if you don't use it, just to show.
Show
Just to have it.
I think I'm important. No,
That's right.
We have a great team, and so they don't need a lot of managing because they do just a great job. So I'm really blessed in that
means
capacity.
that you are great at your job.
Thank
I was
you.
just having this conversation yesterday with someone about I knew these brothers, and they had this company, very, very successful. It was a medical company, and they were much, much older than me. Kind of retirement age, but not. And I remember one of them saying that he at one point in his life realized that you're really good at leadership, and if you want to call it management, if you can leave and everything continues to go on as if you were there. I thought, I like that.
That's a great way to look at it. Yeah, I mean, my team is great. And a lot of people, like when I say I'm the executive director, they're like, oh, so you like do all the music? And I'm like, no, that is so not my wheelhouse.
Yeah,
That
so
is
what do you
Kyle.
do?
So I'm like, he's the conductor. I just try to help find the money to do what he does. So I try to make sure we have the money to pay the bills.
Almost like a producer. You would think in Hollywood, isn't that what producers do? They make it happen. They financially make it happen.
You could call me the
Okay.
producer, I guess. I like that title too. So that
Yeah, that sounds very good.
I'm
That would
producing-
look good on that parking sign.
on my board. I'm
Yeah.
trying to produce the money.
You know what? Okay. I'm going to make that happen. Your birthday's coming up in a couple months.
If I could have a sign. In fact, you actually parked in my parking spot today.
Oh.
What?
You did. You parked in my parking spot.
Oh, because I parked in back. Oh, that's your spot?
That is my spot.
I didn't even know where your
I
spot
really
was.
actually appreciated it.
Parking spots are valuable when you're like at a place of employment. It's hilarious.
Well, especially when
5:30.
well, well, I am the well. There's some available parking spots in the morning here where you all are. It's not always that way, right?
We battle for parking because we're at the Creamery building downtown. So, the Arts Council's there, the ballet's there, and then
Right.
we're there. So we have very few parking spots, but that's okay. It's whoever gets there earliest gets a spot, and
Is there a behind the baton?
There is.
Okay.
It is at First and Calvary. It'll be earlier this time. It'll start at 5:30. And it'll be great to talk by Kyle because he'll be talking about the resurrection and how Mahler wrote it and did all of that and the intent behind each movement. And actually on our website, there will be, and there should be now, a lecture that Kyle did years ago when he did this piece when he was in Juneau, I think, that talks about it too. So it's more of an educational piece. Okay. So it's a really interesting piece. It's a moving piece. I mean, it's about the resurrection. So
right.
It's very important.
Yeah, very good. People want to buy tickets?
People can buy tickets. Yeah, they can go to our website, which is springfieldmosymphony.org, and they can call the office or the Hammonds Hall box office. So we've got that going on, and then we've got other events coming up too. So yeah.
All right, very good. I can't think of anything else. Can you?
We do also have a link to all of that information, ksgf.com.
Click, click, click. Bye, bye, bye.
We make it so easy. Well, we love Caitlin, but it's so fantastic to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thanks for letting me sub for Caitlin.
You
have her back
as long as if she's fine with it, you can come in with her anytime.
I'm fine with Caitlin. She's great.
She is fantastic. So, all right. Well, listen, it's great. Hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too. You
All right,
too.
Springfield
Go Chiefs.
Symphony. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. There's that thing going on this weekend. So
Super
you're
Bowl.
going to have a couple of different forms of entertainment with the symphony and then, watch a little ball as well. So,
Yeah. My daughter will be at a dance competition in St. Louis, so.
Oh, you can find a place.
I know.
You can tell. No, I was in the audience. I saw everything. You did fantastic. She's like, I got a compound fracture. Oh, no, I saw that.
I've got like 2 cell phones, so I'll have like the game
There
on
you
one end
go.
or stream on the
There
other.
you
Be
go.
like,
Yep.
Yeah.
You can manage. Springfield's Talk 1041. I'm Nick Reed. Sarah Myers.
Thank you. Real quick before I tell you about the Pyramid Roofing Company, Tom Arts texted me tonight at 6:30 p.m. at Godfather's Pizza in Nixa. They are going to be doing a talk on the state constitution. It is free to attend, so just put that in your calendar if you are free at 6:30 p.m.
It's worth it for either one. It's worth it just for the company, the people, the education. But yeah, even if you're like, I don't really care about that stuff so much. Pizza,
There you go.
Godfathers.
Right.
Oh, Godfathers.
The Pyramid Roofing Company. With more rain in the forecast, there's a good chance that some of you out there may experience some roofing issues, whether that be yellowing on your ceiling or drips, or maybe your gutters are backing up and just not functioning properly. If that sounds like your situation, I want to recommend Josh and his team over at the Pyramid Roofing Company. Now, the Pyramid team, they really do aim to provide you with the best solution for your home, and sometimes that doesn't mean a whole new roof, but maybe just a simple roof repair. Whatever your situation is, the Pyramid Roofing Company, they're going to be upfront and honest about the work that needs to be done, and they'll get you on the schedule. It's as simple as that. So if it is time to schedule that free roof inspection, give Josh a call today. Now you can find all of that contact information for the Pyramid Roofing Company under the Sarah's Endorsements tab at ksgf.com.
Springfield man arrested after threatening ICE employees in several cities, spreading around the hate and danger. OzarksFirst.com reporting that a Springfield man arrested and charged in federal court for calling and threatening immigration and custom enforcement officers across the country, according to a federal document. The defendant, 51-year-old Gabriel Ramsey of Springfield, accused of interstate communication containing any threat to injure multiple people, which violates Title 18, Section 875C of the U.S. Code. Federal complaint submitted to the Missouri Western District Court states that from January 28th through the 30th, Ramsey sent threatening emails to ICE offices in San Diego, California, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and York, Pennsylvania. In the email, he said in part that Trump's border czar Tom Homan needs to be shot in the head and hopes every ICE agent gets, quote, beaten to death with a tire iron. He also, this is the
Very tolerant.
Yeah, very tolerant. This must be what the left, when they're talking about Trump and his dangerous rhetoric, I guess this is what they somehow mean. I don't know. He also calls ICE a threat that needs to be eliminated, accused them of terrorizing vulnerable communities and removing people of color from the United States as cruelly as possible and comparing them to fascist and authoritarian regime. Now, where would he get that idea? Where would he get that specific verbiage? Gee, where have we heard it? Maybe every single Democrat that opens their mouths? The same Democrats that claim that Donald Trump's rhetoric inspires dangerous violence from dangerous people, yet here, once again, is somebody arrested, in this case, had not had the opportunity to follow through with it, but threatening the lives of others for the exact reasons that Democrats, use and claim to demonize those people. They're Nazis, they're fascists, they're removing people of color. On January 30th, 2025, the Fresno, California Office of Enforcement and Removal received a call from someone who identified himself as Ramsey. Tip number one, if you're going to make threats like this, threaten to kill people, probably shouldn't give your name, but fortunately, some of these people aren't too bright. The complaint stated that he wanted Homan and all ICE agents to be shot in the head, claimed he wanted to harm himself and others according to the complaint. He also claimed to have called the U.S. Secret Service and asked their agents to assassinate Trump, saying he wasn't actively trying to assassinate Trump himself, but stated that he would shoot him if he had the chance. On that same day, the Denver, Colorado Office of Enforcement and Removal received calls from Ramsey reiterating that everyone in ICE should be killed. January 30th, Homeland Security investigation agents in Springfield and Springfield police officers entered the home of Ramsey's father on January 30th, who confirmed Ramsey was inside. He came out of his room, called the agents fascist and SS officers. Once again, where did he get that verbiage? Admitted that he had sent the threatening emails to ICE officers. Ramsey said he did not plan to act on his threat, but wanted ICE employees to feel unsafe. When asked if he wanted to harm ICE agents, he told agents that they would have to guess. Ramsey was then detained by police, taken to the Greene County Jail, where he is being held with no bond. We all know the shoe on the other foot situation. If Republicans were out there, if there was someone who went on a threat rampage, threatening to murder government agents, law enforcement agents, using the reasons that were put out there by Republicans, using the same verbiage that was put out there by Republicans, that the news leader, for example, would not only have a story about it, but then they would pick up the phone and they would try to get quotes from Congressman Burleson. They would try to get quotes from, State Rep Bishop Davidson and all of the Republicans to ask them, about the rhetoric that they use and whether or not they feel that they bear a responsibility in the fact that one of their supporters is using their rhetoric as an excuse to threaten to murder federal agents and law enforcement agencies. But of course, because this is once again someone regurgitating the talking points of Democrats as rationale for calling for the murder of the President of the United States and the murder of ICE agents, we're not going to get such benefit. We're not of hearing the responses from local Democrats. We're not going to get that sort of coverage. Because much like virtually all of the major media outlets out there, the news leader is not a newspaper that actually puts out news. It is a propaganda outlet for the left, for the Democrat Party, whose objective is to make them look good, to help you understand their way is the right way, and to help them get elected. Which is why you cannot trust them, unless you simply want to know if you straight up want a perspective from the left, from an anti-Trump perspective, then that's a good place to get it. Springfield's Talk 104.1, I'm Nick Reed. Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty. You got home buying needs, you have home selling needs. You got Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty. She is just the one and all, if you will. She's not just there to do the standard, here's some houses that might fit what you're looking for, and I'll meet you over there at 2 o'clock and walk you through it. Let me just tell you from my experience, one of the character traits that I really appreciate about her, and it's because, it's demonstrated through her behavior that shows she's not simply trying to sell you a home as quickly as possible. When you go through that process, one of the things that she's going to want to know is, what are you looking for? What are your needs? And then if after a while you're not finding what you want, you know how it can be, you get tired of it and you start sort of giving a little bit, you start sacrificing some of the things that you actually want and need. You think, well, we don't really need it that badly. She will remind you, now listen, you said you're planning on expanding your family, and that's why you wanted 4 bedrooms. I just want to remind you of that. Obviously, if in the end it's your decision to make, but she's not going to take advantage of your desire to get in that new house and just to get the process over. She's going to stay true to what it is that you say you want. Not everyone's like that. A lot of them is just about get you in something as fast as possible. She wants to get you in what's right based on what you tell her you want. Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty. There's a piece that will get posted at KSGF.com in the Federalist. Senator Ernst, USAID, wouldn't tell Congress how it spent billions, and we just don't have time in the show today to go through it. But what it does is it lays out what she and others have experienced, in which it's been total cover-up. It is very, very clear that certain people, by the way, many of these unelected individuals, and these are unelected individuals, have blocked Congress, who appropriates these funds, from seeing where the money is going. Now, of course, what has occurred with Doge and under the directive of Donald Trump, Elon Musk and others have gone in order to see what's going on, not just USAID, but that's one that's getting a lot of attention. And one of the more recent revelations has to do with Politico and the millions of dollars that Politico was receiving, the news outlet that was covering up Joe Biden's cognitive problems, and has, acted in a manner to help Democrats keep and retain power, to help Joe Biden at the time get reelected president, was receiving millions of taxpayer dollars in the dark. No one knew about it. And the left, of course, we saw this on full display, the hysterics of a number of Democrats pitching a fit over the fact that Elon Musk has been appointed to head up this project. He's unelected. Well, yeah, of course he is. Just like the people who have been in charge of this stuff. They go on and on about unelected. Well, you got some unelected person cut off $8 million to Politico. Well, who is the unelected person who gave them $8 million of our dollars? Those are the people that need to be held accountable, not the unelected person who has brought it to light. I don't know about you, but again, you think about, how many federal employees there are? How many advisors there are out there that are all unelected? It is, frankly, stupid that we even have to articulate and explain the lunacy of that argument that, well, he's not elected. He doesn't have a right to do this. Of course he does. He's working on behalf of the President of the United States. I'm not worried about unelected people that are, for the first time, letting us know how our tax dollars are being used. I'm worried about the unelected people who have been spreading our tax dollars around and keeping it hidden not only from us, but from Republican members of Congress trying to investigate where our tax dollars are going. I think that we all need to make sure we have a clear understanding of the divide here right now on this issue between the two political parties. You have the Republican Party that is working and there's a Doge in Congress, scenario here as well playing out. But Republicans are doing everything they can to make sure you know where it is your tax dollars are going, and then making sure that the tax dollars that are being wasted stop being wasted, while Democrats are defending keeping it secret. Though that's the straight up black and white division. Glenn Beck's next. I'm Nick Reed. Talk to you tomorrow at Scramblers.